Joel Klatt went out and said all these Michigan fans need to relax. That's kind of what we're here for, to help you relax. And with that, we are taking your questions on this episode of the Michigan Mailbag, right on this episode of Locked On Wolverines.
You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Tuesday. We are back and doing it. Locked On Wolverines podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I'm your man on the ground, Isaiah Hole, publisher of Wolverines Wire through USA Today Sports Media Group. Thank you to all of you who make us your first listen. And thank you so much to all of our everydayers out there. We do appreciate that as well. Let's jump right into it. Let's see. Can I do this? I want to try to make it so I have split screen on my computer. I could have done this beforehand. It's like it almost does it. Almost. Nah, I don't think I can do it easily. Okay, whatever. Let's start with wasting time for no reason. Let's start with our leaders and best. James Crudup at James Crudup 6. Have you seen enough improvement throughout the season with the O-line to not look in the portal if a solid pass protector becomes available? Are you confident in the secondary going into next year, or would you like to see them spend on a safety or corner? Okay, it's got more, but let's start with that. O-line, you have to keep in mind you're losing a couple guys. Now, yes, I do feel good about what they have, right? Because, you're going to lose Crippen, you're going to lose El Hadi. If memory serves, I think Crippen has one more year though, but does he stay another year? I guess that's the question. You got Nathan Afobe. I feel good about him. I do think I feel good about it. I mean, if you can get someone who's like an upgrade somewhere, kind of almost no matter where, but not no matter where, then yeah, you bring them in. But I think they've got enough bodies at offensive line that, I mean, I've definitely been very impressed by what it's done this year and what, the growth, right? Like that's why I cautioned people against getting too reactionary early in the season and said, it takes a little while. And I think you're seeing that. I think somehow they found their best five through attrition at the moment, right? I'd have a hard time, and no offense to Evan Link, who I think actually was playing really good this year. I'd have a hard time putting Evan Link back in with how good Blake Frazier's playing, to be honest. I mean, they might disagree, but that's just where I'm at. As far as the safety or a corner, I mean, yeah. I mean, safety, maybe not, because you'll have other guys. A lot of those guys are coming back, right? And who knows Rod Moore, if he's going to, come back for another year. It kind of feels like it's trending that way. But that's not inside info. That's speculation before someone writes an article. Well, we're caffeinating today. It's very sleepy with the weather today. But I would also say corner, you've got a lot of young talent there. But if you can go out and get a veteran, especially because Michigan rotates a lot, I would do that as well. But maybe you feel fine with what you got, getting all this experience, right? Jordan Young stepping up at nickel. TJ Metcalf's got another year. You still got Tevis Metcalf. You've got, Dotson and Sanders and Earls, and, maybe you still have Jair Hill. There's a lot of young talent, and then you still got the freshmen coming in. Who do they even have at corner? Not really. Don't think they have anyone particularly to write home about in the next class, but just trying to think offhand here. My brother before we move on, he says it's time to launch an official investigation into what happened to Dominic Zavada. Maybe take a look in East Lansing, since cheating is running rampant over there. Shaking my head. Yeah, it's kind of weird that he's not had the year that I think anyone's expected. But for any Michigan kicker, you wouldn't expect him to have such a tough year, but at least, hey, he got that game winner. His confidence comes with that. We'll see what happens from here on in. My brother in metal, Michael Wolf at MWolf21. Do you think that some of the discipline issues can be fixed before Ohio State? For instance, the D-line was very jumpy on the hard clap, and the play after they got an offsides, they almost had another jump. Yeah, I think it can. I think you're seeing a lot of the discipline issues being fixed. The problem is they fix some discipline issues and then new ones arise, right? This is kind of a point that I was planning on making today. It's a game by game basis for this team. That's how you have to look at it. You can't sit and say, well, because they played Northwestern this way, they won't be able to beat Maryland and they won't be able to beat Ohio State. You have to look at things on a game by game basis. They've played tighter to the teams that are worse in some ways than otherwise. So it's kind of a weird thing. Jimmy Whitner at Jimmy Whitner 1. Would you sit Marshall versus Maryland? Number 2, how surprised are you by the women's basketball team just balling? Number 3, in your opinion, is 8-2 so far a successful season? Let's go backwards. Yes, so far. I mean, I had them being 8-2 going into the final stretch here. I said I thought that they'd lose one of the 3 in the first 3 road games. They end up losing 2, but then I thought that they would lose maybe like Washington or another one before that. So 8-2 at this point. We can assume 9-2. Maryland's not a good team for the people who I know, that are freaking out about last game and all that. Maryland is, I understand you didn't do great against Purdue, with the turnovers there. You didn't do great against Northwestern with the turnovers there. But like Maryland's not a good team. Yeah, they're dangerous and can beat you, but just that's any Big Ten team. Rutgers can do the same, as far as that's concerned, yeah. So would I sit Marshall versus Maryland? I'll answer next. I mean, if you can, yeah, I would, right? Like get Bryce Underwood some experience. I thought he looked really good against Northwestern. Again, not the toughest run defense in the country, but still a good defense in general. And I would see what you got there between him and Jasper Parker. And because it's also about the pass protection and stuff like that too, right? Like it's not just about the times that they ran the football. It's about the times they were in and they didn't. So I would try to do as much as you can. I mean, that's what this team has been all year, is just throwing a lot of different guys out there, both sides of the ball. So I would do that as well. As far as the Michigan women's basketball team, honestly, I've barely paid attention to the men's team, let alone the women's. So no offense to the women. When we're in the football of it all, that's all I really have time to pay attention to. Pretty much a one-man band here. Spencer Whitmore at Spencer Whitmore finishing out segment 1. Would you, sorry, just reading the same thing. Do you think we are overlooking how young this team is across the board and we are just comparing them to 21 through 24 unfairly? I mean, Joel Klatt said exactly that. And I agree. Like, and it's maybe I've done a poor job of setting the expectations. Some of the older guys that we thought would be playing have been injured and have not played. So that's kind of changed the calculus to some degree. But yes, I do think, I mean, that's been my case for a little while here. Maybe not articulated as well as Joel did, but there's a lot of unfair expectations. Like I still thought that they'd be 9-2 heading into that Ohio State game. And they're pretty close to that. They're one game away from being there. But, and a lot of those things are working, right? The offense, like I said, if the offense is some modicum better, I didn't even think it had to be as much better as it is in terms of total offense as it is. Scoring offense isn't like going crazy or anything. Defense is a little bit lower than I thought they might be, thanks to, just some of the games that they've had, but not by much. So with that, like, I just think people need to look at what this team is, not what they want it to be. And I think that's been the big issue, is too many people look at what they want this team to be and judge it against, as Joel Klatt put it, the best team in Michigan history, essentially in the 2023 team, and says, hey, they're not that, therefore we're doomed. And that's not where you want to be. So, all right, we've got so many more. I've got 36 minutes left on this battery because this is a battery eater until I get my V-mount battery. So we'll get to as many as we can. We're going to do that here in just a moment. But before we do, the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, we're going to caffeinate up here. New kind of Ghost energy drink, sour punk lemonade. I drink the sour pink lemonade almost every day. This one's more sour. I love it. But I can't find the raspberry flavor anywhere in Fenton. It's kind of annoying. I had it in Chicago. Can't get it here in Fenton. LK Baird at Luke Baird 2016. Do the Buckeyes finally have what it takes to snap the streak? in my conversations with other Michigan fans, I just don't see how this year is all that different from the conversations we were having in 21 and 22. I mean, they've had what it takes to snap the streak at any given year. It's not just the fact that Michigan is kind of built to beat Ohio State. It's also the way Ryan Day calls the game or what their game plan is, as well as each team's execution, right? Like, it's who has the better game plan, who's more prepared, all that kind of stuff. So if it's the same in terms of that, I mean, Michigan's in a good spot regardless, as long as it doesn't make a lot of the mistakes it makes and finishes drives. They are, I think, a little bit more physical. But I think the thing is we don't really know who Ohio State is. And I know, okay, everyone who wants to clip me, go ahead and clip me at that. It's 10:52 in the show. But right now, like the only team that Ohio State has played with that's ranked or beaten that is currently ranked, if I'm not mistaken, is Texas. The Michigan and Ohio State, in terms of teams they've faced, I was doing this little thought exercise earlier today. Michigan's opponents were 56 and 45. Ohio State's are 52 and 50, although one of those is 7-4 Grambling State. Michigan's just played better teams. Now it's lost to the two best teams on the schedule, the two 8-2 teams, Oklahoma and USC. Michigan hasn't beaten any ranked teams itself, right? So it's not like I'm sitting there saying Michigan is just better, but as far as that's concerned, so Ohio State beat the one 7-3 team by a touchdown. They beat another 7-3 team, Washington, the same way Michigan beat them, and they beat another 7-3 team in Illinois, pretty convincingly. But outside of that, I mean, we're talking about, okay, they destroyed Ohio. What is that one supposed to be? I don't even know what that one's supposed to be in my thing here. I abbreviated everything and I put Michigan somehow. I don't know why or how. Minnesota. I should have put MN instead of MI. What was I thinking? Like Minnesota's not very good. Wisconsin's not very good. Penn State's not very good. Purdue's not very good. In terms of common opponents, they played tougher against Purdue, who gave them a little bit more of a fight than they've given some teams. More than they gave Ohio State more of a fight than they gave Washington. They gave Michigan more of a fight, even more. Michigan, again, if it wasn't for the turnovers, would be in a better spot. So it's kind of hard to really gauge, but Michigan's played tougher teams. They've had to eke out games that Ohio State hasn't had to eke out. So if the game is, tight, Michigan's in a pretty good spot compared to Ohio State as far as that's concerned. Bonus question, is the program on the right track post-Harbaugh or no? It's too early to tell. I can't tell you one way or the other. Moments, yes. Moments, no. It's too early to tell. Edwin Simmons at Simmons_Edwin. Happy Tuesday, my brother in Christ. Thank you for the shout out yesterday. Awesome meeting you from afar. It was a home game for Michigan. The atmosphere was amazing. Hope you enjoyed the city. I absolutely did. I haven't been recreationally. I mean, it was work wise, but I haven't been to Chicago, 6 years in terms of being in the city. So that was cool. Did you ever feel like we would lose the game at any point? No, not really. Honestly, it came down to that field goal, but I just kind of felt like, that's what it's going to come down to, and they'll hit it, and that's just what it is. How many snaps have freshmen taken? I didn't prepare for that one, so for the interest of time involved, I can't really say. I wonder if I can do it real quick here. We can try. If I'm signed in, and I am signed into PFF, let's see if I can. Offensively, I mean, you're looking at 70 for Andrew. We'll do red full freshman. Offensively, a 70 for Andrew Marsh, 78 for Bryce Underwood. Jasper Parker had 1. Then that's it as far as that's concerned. And then defensively, you had Jordan Young, who had 6, graded out as the best player for Michigan, by the way. Let's see. Nathaniel Osu-Boateng had 7. Chase Taylor had 8. Felt like they played more than that. Jaden Sanders had 16. So a lot more on defense so far. Nate Marshall had 2. Elijah Dotson had one. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. So there you go. Those are your freshmen in the game. All right. Taking up so much time doing that. Pogi Stogie at Wolverine Libertatis. The DBs need their best game of the year against Ohio State. I mean, duh, always. Do we think we've seen enough out of that group to think that they can do pretty well against these Ohio State receivers? Of course, explain your answer. I mean, it's hard to say because here's the thing. Like, we know that behind the scenes, they've been kind of training for Ohio State. And I think it's more about creating that run wall and finding ways to get pressure on Julian Sand and get him off his spot as much as it is the DBs covering potentially Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate. Again, I know I get this question later, supposedly there's injury issues there. But I mean, I think you've seen enough with them playing like Washington, the way they played Washington. Like, some guys are going to get theirs, right? Like, it's not like they played in 2023 and Marvin Harrison didn't get his. But it's or even in like 2021 with their cadre of just superstars. It's not like they didn't get theirs. It's about stopping them from getting in the end zone and, creating a run wall and all that kind of stuff. So there's all of that. KLab 711. Thanks for the awesome podcast. I don't know if I'd call it awesome, but thank you. Really enjoy you and Tuttle and you and Connor. I see Michigan going 1-1 the next two and still making a decent bowl game. Do you see the same? I would say they're going to go 1-0 this week. I can't predict the Ohio State game because there's the intangibles that I don't know that I can necessarily say that they're like, yes, on paper, I feel like Michigan should lose the game. But like in the last 5 years, Michigan should have probably lost 4 of them, to be honest. So I have a hard time seeing it. Do you see next year as a make it or break it year for Sharon? God bless. No, 2 years from now. That's what I would say. James Kovalevsky at coach_Kovo. Is there already a promising kicker on campus to take over Savada next year, or will Michigan turn to the portal for an incoming freshman? Probably portal, or they've got, I think Micah Drescher is the one that's the kicker. No, I can't remember which one it is, but I mean, they've got a freshman coming in. So I would expect portal. I mean, they've tried to go portal with some of these, and it hasn't exactly worked. So I think that would be the case. The fifth dentist at a smile fixer. Has anyone asked Wink why he rotates guys so much? Seems like we are letting more inexperienced guys on the field in critical times. No, but I will ask him that tomorrow. That'll be my question for him when we get him tomorrow. So, because I am curious about that myself. I'm not the one at William Cawthorne 9. Do you feel like Bryce is where he should be considering he was an early enrollee? Yeah, I think he's doing fine. I mean, yes, there's ups and downs. Yes, lately we have seen some of the critical quote freshman mistakes that I didn't expect we would see, just kind of based off of conversations, not just with Connor, but people inside the building. And but yes, I do think generally he is about where you would expect him to be in year one. Do you feel like this team is some discipline away from being a top 10 team? I would also say yes. I think USC was probably going to be the debacle it was regardless. I think that I would not necessarily write, like if they played Oklahoma again, even in Norman, I wouldn't necessarily say that's an auto loss. I know some people might think I'm crazy, but I think that they have found some things in the time frame since then that make you think like, okay, like particularly the line is playing a lot better. And I think they've gotten more stout at defending screens and things of that nature. So I think yes, but you'd have to do some revisionist history with some of the games that they've already had. I'm going to the game this weekend. Will I get to meet the man, the myth, and the legend? Well, as long as you don't mean me, you will not, because I decided this week not to go to the Maryland game because I had a 4-day trip booked to DC, and then I decided that I'd best cover the game at home. So I am not going to the game this weekend, missing my second of the year, which last time I've missed 2 in a year is 2015, I believe. Yeah, 2015 is the last time I've missed 2 games in one given year. But I feel like it's not, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Let me put it that way. Xavier Ely at Xavier Ely 105. Going into the season, we expected growing pains. Devin Gardner pointed out that Bryce made new mistakes this week and followed with a game-winning drive. Why are fans and media acting like the sky is falling? Well, couldn't be here. If JJ had to learn on the fly, it would have looked like this. I agree with you. I mean, I 100% agree with you. I think that people acting like the sky are falling are being very myopic. And I think that they are very much projecting mistakes in one game across the course of the season. And considering Michigan's beaten Ohio State 4 years in a row, like, I'm not saying they're going to win this one, but they've beaten what I would consider to be a better Ohio State team, last year's Ohio State team. Maybe not by much, but certainly a better Ohio State team. It's certainly a more tested Ohio State team. They've beat a better Ohio State team or an equal Ohio State team, whichever way you want to put it, with less. Michigan did. Then you can sit there and say Kenneth Grant, Mason Graham, like, listen, the offense had no one. I mean, yeah, Kalel Mullings, but like that, no one went into that game thinking Michigan had a chance. No one. Like, the offense was too anemic. And then you sit and say, no Will Johnson, no Colston Loveland. Not happening. The one offensive guy you really need is the one that is the most productive in the entire offense. The only guy who's involved in the passing game isn't going to play. So, like, it's revisionist history as well to sit and act like, oh, no, we all knew that, they had a chance. No one knew they had a chance. No one. And you can sit there and say, well, Kenneth Grant, Mason Graham, like, well, explain the Oregon game or the Texas game or the Indiana. I mean, Indiana was a little bit better, but I mean, like, it wasn't like they played teams like Ohio State and of that caliber and played well in the games before it. They just hadn't. So BW at BW2623, do you think Jordan Marshall will play against Maryland? I'm 50-50 on it, to be honest. Perry Mitchell at Perry Mitchell 08, how do you expect the halfback rotation to go this weekend? Is Kuzdal going to be the bell cow where they actually use Parker in a legitimate rotation? I would guess that if you don't see a lot of Marshall, and I think you'll see a limited Marshall regardless. Like, I just don't think that they're going to be like, hey, man, can you carry the ball 28 times? But I think that you will see Kuzdal probably lead in snaps regardless, and Jasper Parker probably get a good 10 snaps as well. I think that's what you need in this game anyway. Wolverine Warrior at Wolverine Champ 1. When you watch the game on Fox after, what are your thoughts on the TV timeout, one play TV timeout? I mean, I don't need to watch the game on Fox to know that it's frustrating and annoying. I'm at the game. I'm standing there. I'm like, I feel like it's worse because when you're at home, you're watching it on TV, you can be like, like, and I just watched the highlights package anyway this week. But I mean, when you're at home, you can be like, okay, well, I'm going to, check out another game. I'm going to go get up and go to the fridge. When you're at the game, it's like way more egregious because you're just sitting there waiting for the action to start up again. Has anyone informed our head coach that there's a play called QB sneak? I believe they're 2 of 11 on fourth down conversions this year. Crazy to think about. I mean, I think that some of those plays are RPOs, and he absolutely, I guess that's the question. Do you consider an RPO where the quarterback keeps it to be part of that? I don't know why they haven't done it, to be honest. That particular, the one where they fumbled on the fourth, like, yeah, that would have been a QB sneak, in my opinion, for sure. Jacob Chavaria at Chavaria, what are the odds Michigan could convince an elite wide receiver like Jeremiah Smith or Ryan Williams to join Bryce this year? What would it take? I'm sure there's a dollar amount that would make anyone leave, so why isn't Michigan doing it? Well, what makes you think Michigan isn't doing it? Let me put it that way. When should we expect a new contract for Dusty? He just got one last year, so I don't think he's going to get another one, right? You just got one. But as far as the wide receiver, there are 2 names that are extremely high profile wide receivers that I have heard Michigan is kind of like inquiring about on back channels. So there you go. At Yoder77, sat behind the Michigan bench at the Purdue game and watched Marone Moore give Chip a heated earful, and the very next drive was cooking on play calling. Youngest team in the Big Ten with 6 offensive starters being redshirt and flash freshmen were just fine. What's your take? I agree. Although Chip's up in the box, so did you just heard it, let him doing it over the headset? I'm just curious. I mean, still, I think that's the big thing. It's a young team. They're going to make mistakes here and there. You just hope that it all leads to a more mistake-free game against Ohio State. And as much as you can say, well, if they can't do it against Purdue, listen, we've seen Michigan play its best game against Ohio State many a year, well before Jim Harbaugh. I mean, even the Brady Hoke teams, like 2013, like everyone thought Michigan was going to destroy that game, and suddenly they play their best game of the year. So I think that it's, I think you have to look at it and just be like, okay, well, that's what they need to do. We'll see if they do. Finishing us out in segment 2. The Rican Raider at Hamstand87, best thing you ate in Chicago. Easily Joe Stone Crab, the Stone Crab at Joe Stone Crab. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Best crab I've ever had. Actual question, do you think Michigan sees more flips or transfers this offseason? Probably. And transfers, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that hasn't even started yet. All right, we've got plenty more in the lightning round that is the Blue Crew. Let's get to them here in just a moment. All right, let's finish out here, starting with Method Man 8. God bless you and Zuri, along with your family. Thank you very much. What will it take for the next two games for you to confidently say that we are where we should be as a program? Well, if they just beat Ohio State, beat Maryland and Ohio State, then they're right where you want them to be. I would even say at this point, with as much youth as they have, just at least play Ohio State like close, be in contention, like the ability to win the game late. Like, yeah, we'd all be upset if they end up losing to Ohio State. But, you know, like just to be realistic, to be where they should be as a program, just be in contention with as much of a young team as you have right now. I think that's the big thing. AA at Aaron Brycey, why does Michigan run a historically boring offense the first 11 games of the season, saving all the good plays for Ohio State? Wouldn't it be in our best interest to try some of those plays out a couple times earlier in the season to see if they'd actually work for it versus Ohio State? Number one, you know, Ohio State would be prepared for those big plays. Number two, they're crafting some, like, it isn't like they've got a secret playbook. It's more that they've got action based off of different formations and plays that they already have. It isn't like they've got some stowed away playbook, but you also don't want Ohio State to know like what you feel like are your best plays. Because here's the thing, they're 8-2 right now. And yeah, you would have hoped that they could have beaten. I don't think it would have mattered what kind of offensive plays they had against USC. That wasn't their problem, right? Like this is what I'm trying to train you guys to be in, is to not just say, okay, they got blown out at USC and then just make it like a nebulous like loss. Understand why they lost at USC. Understand why the game against Purdue was close. Understand why the game against Michigan State was close. Understand why they had to come back against Northwestern. It isn't just like bad team, poorly coached, Sharon's poke 2.0. Like that's not it, right? Like each has individual reasons as to why. Like you can't just now, and there are different reasons in some of these games too. Like it's not like the turnover issues are a new issue that they've had, for instance. So you can't sit there and say like, yeah, they just turned the ball over 5 times every game. They don't. This is the first time that they've done that and won. First time you've really seen any team do that. So it's one of those things where you just have to look at it and understand that number one, it's not like they have a secret playbook that they're just saving and then suddenly whole new playbook. That's not how that works. Secondly, you're setting things up always for the biggest games. And a better offense against USC wasn't going to save them against USC with the way the defense was playing. They lost that game because the defense was woefully unprepared. The whole team felt woefully unprepared. So that's what I need you to understand with some of these things. We got to move on. Livewire Sim Sports have QB mechanics been improving. They improved this last game because Bryce felt way more comfortable. You could see he felt way more comfortable in the pass protection schemes, way more, and stood in there and delivered and didn't, set his feet, made the right, not all the right reads, but most of the right reads, and made good throws. Whereas he didn't do that against Purdue or even against Michigan State a lot of the times. The Devil's Porch Light at Sean D. Duncan 85. What do we know about the Joey Velasquez situation, a possible NCAA investigation? I'm going to go ahead and defer to the outlet that is investigating that. Gary Klein at Klein Gary, not Klein _ Gary. Could beating Ohio State last year come back to bite us in the butt with the playoff committee? I mean, if they're going to be comparing Michigan with an SEC team, could they be arguing beating the number one team doesn't count as much because they just have Ohio State's number right now? I mean, no. I mean, still would be the best win in college football. And plus Michigan went and beat an SEC team in the bowl game. No, it's not. No, I don't. I think losing to USC and Oklahoma is what would be hurting Michigan the most, to be honest. Shaddy at Shaddy Go Blue. Do you think the play calling is part of the reason our offense has been in bad positions, such as last game? No, I think turnovers are. Now, 2 of those turnovers were I think, poor play calls, or at least the one RPO. I'm not going to say it's a poor play call. It was poor execution. But no, I don't think the play calling, sometimes the play calling is head scratching. I'm not going to say it isn't, but do I think the play calling is the reason why the offense has been in bad positions? No, I think the lack of execution has been mostly. And do you think Chip Lindsey is the right guy to develop Bryce Underwood? I would like to see a dedicated quarterbacks coach. I'll say that much. It's not that I think Chip's the right guy to lead the offense, but I'd still like to see an established quarterbacks coach come in. Mr. Go-Getter 74. How is it possible Jeremiah Smith to be 100% by November 29th? I don't cover Ohio State. I got the same question from someone else, I believe, about Carnell Tate. I don't cover Ohio State. I have no idea. Chad's Organics, what's your confidence going into the game? It's 50-50. Is Ohio State defense better than last year's? It looks that way, but hard to tell for sure. I think Michigan will be one of the better offenses, weirdly. As much as y'all complain about the offense, will be one of the better offenses they'll have faced. Ian Westbrook asks, are you worried about more turnovers this week now with Kuzdal and Parker likely to start at running back versus Maryland? No. Have they been turning the ball over like crazy? No. The past couple of weeks have shown that Michigan is not taking care of the ball. God bless. I love the show. I appreciate it. But no, I think turnovers, it's not like they have one. I mean, Bryce is the closest to being the guy that turns the ball over the most, or not close. He is. But no, that doesn't concern me. Although they do, Maryland are ball hawks. So I would expect a couple turnovers probably still, unfortunately. Dark Hellion 990. You think Wink will lessen the rotation of the line for Ohio State? I hope the amount of rotating has just been to keep the boys fresh for this part of the year. Maybe. I'm not really sure. Sean Kelty, who would you rather see as wide receiver going wide receiver 3 going into this week, and especially for the Ohio State game and whatever postseason we have? Morgan, Goodwin, Browder, or Bell? I think Goodwin at this point. I probably would go Goodwin and Bell. I want to see. And I'll just leave it at that. With this room, do you think that Fred Moore, they think led Fred Moore to getting no touches and snaps he had to transfer? Yes. Touchdown, no flags. Will Marshall and Kuzdal combine for over 200 yards rushing versus Ohio State? I'll say yes. How good will Kuzdal Parker look at Maryland? Assuming that's the duo we see. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Maryland's defense is okay. It's not great, but I think Michigan's line has been phenomenal lately. Justin at Saber 3 Golf. Harbaugh always put a huge emphasis on special teams. Why do you think special teams has taken such a huge step back with more? I'll put that on the coaching. Looking for a win. Kunks Jr. is Hogan Hansen even in the building. What a waste of a season. Yes, he is injured and has been injured all year since spring ball. Finishing us out, Hutch season. I have 3. Your choice on which you answer. I'll just answer all 3. Do you think Moore fires our current special teams coordinator and hires a new guy? Maybe, if he's as cutthroat as he was, at least with Kirk Campbell. I mean, special teams have been a debacle, an absolute debacle. Number 2, do you think Bryce and March get drafted in the 28 draft together? Let's see, what is it, 25? Yeah, probably. Maybe not together as the same team, but yeah, I think they both will likely be early entrants. And yeah, that's where I'd be. Number 3, what positions you want Michigan to target in the transfer portal? They might need some linebacker help after, like, with this recruiting class being what it is. Although, they've got a lot of guys there. I'd say a corner, wide receiver, and I mean, can't really say no to a high profile tight end either. So that's what I've got. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will talk to you again tomorrow with Jack Tuttle as we go in the pocket. Talk to you soon. Peace.